article that came out recently that we were both talking about on Facebook, of all things, with the preschools that they want to have even, they want universal preschools. They want your kids younger and younger and younger. And they'll always come out and say, well, Finland has early education and it's so great in Finland. And what they don't tell you is that in Finland, education doesn't start until 7 years old.
Early is 6.
Formal education starts at 7 years old, and 6th grade is considered early childhood education. That's their preschool. And it's play-based. It is not sit in your chair for 6.5 hours. No. And this was actually all about kids that are diagnosed, overdiagnosed in this country with ADHD and over-medicated. Down the road, here comes your drug addicts, because they're self-medicating it when they're drugging these kids at 3. This doctor that wrote this article said he has 3-year-olds that are his patients that people say they can't sit still in preschool, they need to be medicated, and they can't sit still because they're 3. They're not made to sit still at 3 years old.
Well, the federal government now, kids that do have special ed needs start at age 3, and those kids have the preschool.
Yep.
And if there's actually room in the classroom, then other kids can, which is a good idea, because it gets.
At our school, we have a preschool with special needs kids, and they're legitimately special needs children.
Those
they can have
needs.
physical or mental disabilities or learning disabilities.
But not for everybody. I mean, and studies have also shown, and I remember you brought this up with. If kids aren't with their parents until like 5, they're going to have behavior problems.
Yep, down the road. And now you look at children that are put in school, the communities have changed, families have changed, but you used to have someone that looked after you that was a family member, mostly. And now you've got kids that are in after-school programs. They get dropped off at school. They have they have breakfast there. They're in school all day. They're in the after-school program there. It's these kids need to have more exercise and get out and not be within 4 walls all the time. Yeah. It's we just need to
too much being
back to the community. We got to figure out the community piece again.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. When I went to school, we had in high school phys ed every day of the week.
Yep. And
you look at your yearbook, and didn't see anybody really.
And you probably walked to school too. We walked to and from school every day. No, I mean,
But if like far enough away,
4 miles uphill both ways, no shoes in the snow. But we really did walk every day.
I know.
And then you played outside every day.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a big change too with society. You can't do that anymore.
Of course you can. Kick them outside. I kick my kids outside all the time.
Yeah,
go.
I know, but they're.
I tell them, you need to be not within my sight. You need to go get into mischief that I don't know about. It's not natural that you were with me.
Well, when I was a kid, I mean, even
get
like
dirty.
4 or 5 years old, I mean, we'd leave after breakfast, come back when we got hungry at lunch, and mother never knew where we were, but there was both the 2 of us,
and now they all have cell phones. They can call you whenever they get into trouble. Do you have to be cautious? Yeah, because again, the community has changed. Where I grew up, everyone knew everybody, but you still had the guy that drove through town and scared everybody to death because he approached a child. You have to be careful and mindful, but you don't. It's just not good to have them in all the time. It's very bad for them.
Behind they're exercising their fingers, but not exercising.
And in school, what do they have? 6.5 hours, 15 minutes of recess. We had 2 recesses, so we walked to school both ways. We had 2 recesses. We had more gym class.
I know. Yeah, and that's the issue. I mean, we're talking about the SAT test. If they keep changing it, and they're changing the scoring system so you can't compare, which is. But I remember when I was in high school, and we had phys ed every day. We had, if they prorate, look at the scores, kids got higher scores than they are now.
Yes.
And now we look at the math. Math is.
We were 20. I posted that thing today. 25%. In the 90s, we actually had higher scores across the board, all races, than we do now.
Right. Well, I was on the New England Board of Higher Ed for a couple of years, and they did some studies on that. And take the 50 states as 50 separate countries. Mm-hmm. And this is a few years ago, before the quote, the federal government's going to fix it with Common Core argument, which Massachusetts was number 1 if they were a separate country in the world. Okay?
Right. They had Dr. Stotsky's standards that we you know, apparently weren't good enough. They went to Common Core.
I believe, was number 6
Yep.
in the world. Now we're nowhere. I mean,
But now we've got Common Core, so now we're all failing together. Isn't it great?
right.
Now
Yeah,
no one can stand out. We're all
states needed
drowning
it.
together.
Right. And now with only 25% of the kids graduating from high school have good math, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, because
And reading skills. I think the
and
reading skills were
too is
right
down
around there too.
because it's just the way.
The reading skills actually, so in the NEAP that I posted the results of, so they actually showed that in 4th grade, all the kids were kind of in the same place. They were doing pretty well. By senior year, it dropped. So the whole, you know, argument we hear about preschool is we need to get them literate by grade 3. We need to have them all on the same plane by grade 3. Well, by grade 4, they're all there.
Right.
And then we fail them again, 5th, 6th, 7th grade up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the arguments about, no, the preschool, we need to get, and kindergarten, kids learn at different speeds.
They do.
Which is why, over the year, they said we don't test until 3rd grade, because by that time, everybody's
And kids
caught
learn
up.
through play, and the play piece has been removed. Their creativity piece for them has been removed. They're supposed to now in kindergarten have full day kindergarten, be able to read and be able to construct sentences in kindergarten. That's crazy.
No, right, because I know a valedictorian that graduated from high school as valedictorian, was the last one in the 1st grade to learn how to read.
Right.
Because everything had to come together. Kids all learn differently, and
Right.
you can't. If a kid in the 1st grade that isn't reading good, you can't say you're a bad student.
And then it all goes back to that overdiagnosis of ADHD. Some kids legitimately have ADHD. Yep, I know a few that legitimately do better with the medication, and their parents tried everything else. They needed a little help. But we're honestly, in a lot of cases, trying to medicate behavior out of kids, and we're also trying to just put kids into a place where they're not ready to be yet.
Okay, it looks like we're ready to wrap up our second show, part 2. So I think we covered a lot of stuff, and so thank you, Victoria, for being my first 2 shows.
Thank you.
And so hopefully we'll be seeing you seeing you on District 18 in another couple of weeks for another new show. So thank you all.